you guys are tuning in from. It's Thursday morning here in Sydney, Australia. It's 9 a.m. We got a lot to cover. Now, I headlined this video with Nathaniel Collins versus Lee McGregor breakdown. I just uploaded that, edited it, gave you my analysis. If you haven't watched that video, my prediction, it's on the channel right now. It's uploaded. But as of this moment, my book down here in Sydney has released odds for the Thursday night fight card in Hollywood. That's going to be on DAZN, and it's headlined by Johnny Mansour versus Christian Avalos. So Mansour had a stellar amateur career. These fights weren't showing. So if you go to your book, wherever you are in the world, I think it's always these cards I always talk about. What's up, GOAT? What's good? About to get my run in. Still tuned in. Appreciate you, man. Get that run in. Got to stay healthy. Already got my training in. So, yeah, it's always these cards, in my opinion, at least for me personally, the DAZN sort of local cards, the Friday night fights, the ones that they stream on UFC Fight Pass, that has a lot of homer fights, a lot of matchups that you could load up a parlay and be really like low risk averse for a six leg parlay. And this is something that I've been really fortunate. I'll say lucky. Whenever you're gambling and betting and boxing, it's going to be luck. There is a factor of luck, but we do our research. So yeah, they're showing me 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 5-fight card, and I think I'm gonna put my picks up in the community section. What's up, Drunken Boxing? Good morning to you as well. If you want to get your weekend on a hot start in terms of like getting on the right momentum, I think this card is excellent to do so. Like I said, down here in Australia, Sportsbet has added the fights. There's 5 of them. It's going to be streaming on DAZN. It's just prospects, but the odds for the 5 fights, you put all 5 fights on it. It's you get a plus 153. So, $100 gets you your money plus $53 back, and you could always just save that going into the weekend. I think I'm going to do 3 separate parlays. I'm going to give you my YouTube parlay that I always do, the fights that I cover here, and I still have one more fight to upload, obviously the Josh Taylor and Echo Esimon fight. And so far the parlay has the Maxie Hughes, Terry Harper, Angela Leo, Nathaniel Collins. If you didn't catch my prediction on Nathaniel Collins versus Lee McGregor, watch that. But that's going to be a money line parlay that I'll give you tomorrow. I'll give you my printout, and then I'm going to do another parlay with these Thursday night fights. Cedric in the house, I appreciate you, man. Cedric, let me know who do you like this weekend. I know you're always money on your locks. I appreciate the feedback you always give me and the channel and the boys who tune in. So we appreciate your wisdom as well. Are you guys seeing the odds for the Johnny Mansour card? Because he's fighting everything else on that fight card. You're getting like a lot of just $6s, $7s. But then you have the return of Vic Passius. Vic Passius was a guy who was a hot prospect in 2014. And then, he had a sort of pause in his career. And they're kind of using him to build this card around. And he's fighting a guy named Carlos Jackson. He's only at $1.23. But like I said, I think I'm confident in hitting all 5 there. And then you parlay that in. We have fights Thursday night in America. We have fights Friday in Australia, Saturday and Sunday. And then next Wednesday, which is your Tuesday, we got Sugar Nunez in a very exciting fight. 2 of the best fighters in the world at 130 pounds versus Rashid. So there's a lot of stuff I got to cover here because that fight, it's my Wednesday night, which is your Tuesday. We got Sugar Nunez versus Rikishi. And I'll be giving you my prediction and breakdown of that later on in the weekend. But there's so many boxing matches to win money. How are you guys doing? What are you guys taking on the Nathaniel Collins versus Lee McGregor? I reached out to some of my guys in the UK. I did my breakdown. Everything I looked at, I know the money's actually leaning more towards McGregor now, even though Collins is still the favorite. If we would have picked Collins yesterday, you would have got him at $1.51. He's at $1.53 because money's coming back on McGregor. And just how I thought it would be. On the boxing blogs, I chime in on Facebook, and the YouTube guys I watch, a lot of people are up on McGregor. Now, there's a couple fights this weekend if you don't want to put on your parlay. Like even if you want to take McGregor as the underdog, that's a good bet. Now, I'm betting, I think Nathaniel Collins beats him. I think his southpaw style. I think he's slicker. I think he has better boxing skills. I think he's quicker in the pocket. He does a lot of these little things in the exchanges really well. I told you guys on my breakdown, I think there's going to be a lot of tough rounds to score. Another safe bet on that. If you don't want to pick either one, Collins or McGregor, but you still want to put it on a parlay, I think that fight's going to go the distance. Right now, my book has that at $1.24. So you either want to roll the dice with me and have faith in Collins at $1.53, or remove the element of loss and take the decision. These guys are both Scottish. It's in Scotland. These guys are fighting for their country. They're fighting for a world title shot. I don't see either one of them getting stopped. They have history of sparring, and I think it's going to be a really competitive fight. I got to be honest with you. Of that entire card in Scotland, headlined by Esimon and Taylor, that's the fight I'm most looking forward to. Cedric in the house. I did a 14 parlay. I appreciate you, man, giving us. So you took Josh, Leo, Harper, and Moses. I love that. In 11 to get 700. Yeah, and like I said, this week of these matchups, I mean, there's never any gimmies in boxing. I don't, even though I've been winning a lot, I always tell the people who message me, look, I'm not any different from anyone else. I do my research, but there are, like the Josh Taylor fight. What Josh are we going to get? I have Josh on my parlay too, and I have confidence he's going to be too much for Esimon. But when you look at his past performances, if you want to break down the both Jack Catterall fights, he lost the last Catterall fight. He lost the Teofimo Lopez fight. And a lot of people, if you watch the decision on the first Jack fight, everybody here would have probably gave that fight to Jack. So in essence, we haven't seen Josh Taylor with a victory in almost 4 years. We've never seen him at 147. And it seems like he fought Regis 40 years ago. He fought Regis 2019. That was 6 years ago. I'm still up on Josh. I don't think he goes into Scotland for his maiden voyage at 47 and loses to Echo. I think he's levels above Echo. This is only a 10-round fight as well with Echo, and I think that's going to suit Josh Taylor's style. Big southpaw, 5'10". They're going to be the same size, and Esimon's going to be there to get hit, and he's not a mover. When we've seen Taylor struggle, it's been he struggled with Teo, he struggled with Catterall. These guys are moving. Even though Taylor doesn't move his head too much, Esimon's going to be on that straight line, and Taylor's the better boxer. So Cedric, I like that bet. I like Harper. That's a give. If we have any locks of the week, it's Harper 100%, Moses 100%. Angela Leo is a dog. He's fighting a guy who's also a dog. We talked about him. We covered this the fight Kameda all week. I'm really comfortable in Leo. I like where his trajectory is at. I think he's one of the best fighters in the world. And it wasn't a long time ago people weren't too up on that weight class, but that weight class is exciting. Javi, what's up? Big ups from East LA. Love my California people, especially Southern California. I spent 8 years in Long Beach, LBC, the 562. I always rep it. You can see the hat. There's my Long Beach hat right there. But yeah, I love Southern California, man. I always tell people down here in Australia, at least the America I grew up in. I was born in the early 80s. So the America I grew up in, every kid where I come from on the Northeast and Midwest wanted to move to LA. So love LA, man, till I die. And any fights tomorrow. Willy Wonka, there are. And Willie, where are you tuning in from? What's up from Glastonbury, Connecticut, Yukon in the house, Ricardo Velez. So Wonka, do you got DAZN? Because DAZN is streaming that fight card from Hollywood. And it's headlined by that hot prospect amateur who's now pro from America, Johnny Mansour. Magic, I think they call him. And there's 5 fights on that card. So I'm going to give you my picks on that card. You have and pull out your book, because think Harper goes the distance, swindle. You know what? Earlier in the week I thought maybe, but then when you look at Terry Harper, you look at her losses. She's only lost to Bumgarner and a very tough. She's lost 2 fights, but she's fought at 150 pounds. She lost to Alicia at 130. I think 135 is her natural weight class, and she's physically fit. She's stout. Her strength and conditioning is great. She's a straight puncher. Natalie Zimmerman from Germany, and I talked about this in my breakdown. At 135 pound, guys, there's only 230 pros. So you build like an undefeated record, 13-0, 12-0. You're going to get a title shot. So she's beat Zimmerman's record's a bunch of like 6 and 15s, 7 and 32s. I think Terry Harper, I like what I see from Harper. Even though in her losses she didn't look good, she could stop her. I was thinking that, and the odds right now on her stopping her, if they're letting you get it, let me see what mine's giving me. Yeah, I don't get the option. My book's not letting me take Terry Harper by stoppage. She definitely beats Zimmerman, and she has those long straight punches, and she's strong. Zimmerman, and no offense to Natalie Zimmerman, maybe her family's tuning in or she's tuning in women's boxing, and this is coming from personal. I used to manage for 3 fights a female boxer from a gym down here in Australia. And what I've learned in that experience, this was only a few years ago, with the influx of women's boxing globally, here in Australia, the UK, all throughout the world, you're seeing a lot of women getting into it later age. Natalie Zimmerman's in her early 40s who were into fitness. You know what I'm saying? Like the difference with men's boxing and women's boxing, because the numbers and it's newer, Zimmerman's kind of like one of these fitness girls who became a boxer. So she leads with her head. There's a lot of headbutts that are going to happen. There's a lot of cuts. She doesn't have the head movement. She doesn't have the natural instinct to just move. Everything is just here. And when you take Terry Harper's style and her strength of just punching and sitting down on her shot, she's the better athlete. She's the better boxer. If you get the odds, if your book lets you, I could see Harper stopping Zimmerman. And I think 135 is her natural weight class, and I can't harp on that enough. Plus 140. Yeah, so that's not bad. You know, that I'm going to do my method of victory parlays too. I give you my money line parlays. That's going to be my live stream tomorrow, guys. So on my live stream tomorrow, every Friday morning, my time, your Thursday evening if you're in America, I'll give you my YouTube channel money line parlays, the fights that I covered, Maxie Hughes, Terry Harper, Angelo Leo, Josh Taylor, Nathaniel Collins. I'll give you my method of victory parlays, the fights that my book will let me call stoppages on. And if they let me do Harper via stoppage, I'm going to put her on a separate parlay. And that's what I like doing. I don't like convoluting stoppages and money lines, putting them on one ticket. And last week was a great example. We saw some of you boys did that with Serhii Boacek. Because on paper, you know, you had Michael Fox coming up to 54. You know, it seemed, and Boacek, we saw what he looked like against Virgil and what his style is. It seemed fitting that he would get that stoppage, but he didn't. And you guys had won all the bets, but because he didn't get the stoppage, the parlay busts. So I think moving forward, guys, I think it's a smart move to put stoppages on a separate bet, but that's just how I roll. I find luck that way. Happy birthday, Peter Lino, fellow Torian, I think. I know you might be on the cusp. What do you think about Holloway Levy? Peter Limo say, hi, yeah, 145 on FanDuel. You guys are getting 145 on that stoppage. I'd be all over it. I'd be all over it. That's just me. Holloway Levy. Let me see if I got that. Now, I didn't do my research on Holloway Levy. We must be talking about... Where's that fight? I don't really like commenting Lovely Panda too much, especially when we're talking about money exchanges. If I don't do if I haven't broken the fight down. Is it going down? Mold, Gallagher, Hayden, Booth, Flint. I don't even see that fight. Maybe I'm missing it. Yeah, let me know more about that fight. I'm not too sure about it. Who do you... another bet, you guys, that is worth thinking about on a stoppage is, since we're thinking ahead, is that Angelo Leo versus Kameda fight. Now, the odds right now have ballooned in Leo's favor. When I took him, I got him at $1.23. My sportsbook now has Leo at $1.19, meaning more and more bettors are putting money on Leo. And Kameda, you know, he's never been stopped. From what you've seen from him in his past performances, a lot of the boxing heads are saying that Kameda's faded. Even though he's only 2 years older than Angelo Leo, in terms of round experience, he has 3-to-1 round experience. I mean, the guy was a hot prospect 10 years ago, world champion. Hadn't been a world champion since 2019, you know, 6 years ago. So all that aside, when you look at Leo's last 4 performances, I think 3 out of 4 stoppages. When you look at how he won the title, when you look at the confidence that generally winning a world title puts on you, if I'm feeling froggy on that stoppage parlay, right now it's 335, man, on a separate ticket. I could see Leo going into Japan and stopping Kameda. I could see that. I'm not predicting that. Like I said, tomorrow I'll do my stop. The only bets I give you where I'm 100% confident are my money line parlay. So all the other ones I have fun with. And then also, guys, there's a couple underdogs like Esimon. If you guys are, you know, you want to go on a dog, Esimon's a live dog. You know, a lot of people have him being a world level below Taylor, and I have Josh winning that fight. But Echo Esimon, you know, right now he's at a $3.40. It's a good underdog to take. You mix that dog with Lee McGregor. This is if you want to take the dogs. That's not a bad bet, even though I'm taking Collins to beat McGregor. It would fluctuate to about 8-1 if both dogs win. So there is a lot of money to be made this weekend. There's a lot of fights. We got, like I said, we got Doncaster, England we've covered. We got Scotland. We got the fights in Hollywood. We got the fights in Tokyo. The Mexico fights we haven't even spoken about. So yeah, there's a lot of money to be made. Do you think Hughes Sharp goes over 8.5 rounds? I really think it does. That's a great bet, Bath Boy. Yeah, once again, my money line, I have Maxi being a level above Archie. Archie could box. We've seen mixed results from both guys. I think Maxi Hughes is going to win that fight. Do I see it going 8.5 rounds? Yeah, and I could also see it going the distance. So check your books and see what the difference is with those odds. Guys, wherever you're tuning in from, could you please like this video? If you have any questions on the bets all week we've covered, let me know. Ask them. In about an hour or so, I'll be uploading my breakdown of Josh Taylor versus Esimon, even though I already told you who I'm taking. And I'm interested on, one of you guys asked me about the Levy fight. What book are you seeing those odds at? Holloway versus Levy. I'm not being offered that fight. Now, I should also mention, Australia, my book, they only give me the fights a week in advance. Every now and then, if you get like a big name, they'll give you the Terrence Crawford, Canelo current odds. But other than that, domestic level fights, some is close in odds. What card is that on? Holloway Levy. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about the Tataran Shigoka. That's a good fight in Japan. That's on the undercard of Angelo Leo and Kameda. Tagoro Shidoka, those odds are interesting. Tataran's a 235. It's almost a 50-50 fight. I think Harper. Thanks for your insight, Johnny. Rich Blackman, appreciate your support. Wherever you're tuning in, guys, like the video, ask away. Even if it's a question about betting. Over the last month since I've been focusing and giving you guys my bets, my emails have been blowing up. A lot of you guys have been emailing me. If I haven't got back to you, be patient. And remember, I learned just as much from you guys asking questions than I learned from talking. This isn't an echo chamber. I tell you guys that all the time. Boxing's my passion. I started boxing as a 7-year-old, and I'm 43 now. It's always been in my life. I grew up with a world champion. I was training as a 8-year-old with one of the greatest middleweights of all time, who's still one of my best friends, Kelly Pavlik. So yeah, boxing's, my Instagram's my name. I don't know if you guys, what about Pasillas Jackson? All right, lovely. That's the fight that I was talking about, mate. And that's a fight that's flying under the radar, lovely panda, is Vic Pasillas is a guy people sleep on because he hasn't been consistent. He took time off. I like Pasillas in that fight. I think Carlos Jackson, I look at Vic Pasillas when he was at his best, and I think he's in the media this week. He said he has his life under control. He has a nutritionist, which is his wife. Right now, he's $1.25. I like him on the money line. I'm not getting any stoppage or any method of victory options right now, but I like Pasillas to showcase. It's a California fight. He's a California guy. He lived in SoCal, moved up to NorCal. So I think he's going to show up and show out. That's the main. I think that's the co-main on the Johnny Mansour card. It's streaming on DAZN. What fight do you like Charles comeback? He's fighting Cornflake. The thing about Cornflake, Lamana, is he's a dog, man. Lamana is a full. He's in the advantage I'd give Lamana is that he's a promoter. He lives and breathes boxing. He's an East Coast kid. He's tough as nails. He wanted the fight. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Charlo post that video on his Instagram last week, and he was hitting the reflex bag, and he was doing that, he looked a bit stiff to me. I'm not saying he's gonna lose the Cornflake. I'm just saying it's something to think about. The older we get as men, the things we lose first are our reflexes and speed. The last thing that stays is our power. And, when Charlo's at his best, the best version of Charlo beats Lamana any day of the week. It's just that, the toll that stress, the toll that partying, the toll that alcohol, the toll that all these variables outside of the ring play on our bodies, especially as we get older, we could see that when they fight. That's all I'm going to say. I'll do my breakdown closer to the fight. What's up, Johnny? Watching all the way from Orlando, Florida. Loving your channel more and more every day. Appreciate the hard work. Can you see a draw? Mate, it's funny you say that. I have in my notes, Lee Collins draw 17-1. I could see a draw in that fight. And a couple reasons, because it's in Scotland. You know what I mean? Like, I could see, and both guys are Scottish, and there's so much on the line. The electricity is going to be crazy. 17-1 if you're feeling froggy. $10 gets you 160. It's something to think about. I appreciate the new subs, guys. The channel is growing. Wherever you're tuning in, Florida, We got the East Coast in the house. We got LA in the house. Like this video. Let's keep the boxing questions coming. I do women's boxing. So I used to promote a girl. I told you her name was Lynn Sandstrom. So I basically managed Lynn Sandstrom out of Bondi Boxing Club for 2 fights. I was in charge of, basically getting investors and getting money to bring in the opponents and setting up future fights and sponsorships. So I worked close with her. And I grew up with sisters. So I covered the Terry Harper fight. I covered Terry Harper and Natalie Zimmerman. And, I covered Gabby Fandora. She's one of my favorite fighters. So I do cover the girls too. Boxing's boxing, and I think women's boxing is growing. And the Brits, look at all the top. You got Dubois' sister, Carolyn. She wants the fight with Terry Harper. She's been on record saying she wants that fight. You got, a lot of girls out. And over time, the skill set's going to get better and better. So, yeah, I do cover women's boxing. Do you have a prediction about Reese and Lewis? Yeah, I was watching. It's funny. I was watching the press conference today, the Reese and Lewis. I want to check those odds first for you guys, where they're sitting at. Yeah, you're not. Oh, my bad. You're not talking about Reese Lynch. I thought you were talking about the Brick card. Do you bet on them? Yeah, I'm betting Armin. Yeah, I'm betting on. There's a girl on our parlay this week. Terry Harper's fighting Natalie Zimmerman. It's the main event in Doncaster, England. It's for Harper's 135-pound strap. She's at $1.10, and if you could take Harper by stoppage, like I said, it's worth. I think she's going to stop Zimmerman. And I don't want to be disrespectful when I say this again, but there's a whole segment of women's boxers right now who are fitness girls. They're not boxers. They didn't grow up in the gym. So there's things that you could train. There's things that you could pick up on quick, but there's things that you can't. And when you get a fitness boxer type of girl, she's 42 years old. There's just things that she's never going to be able to make up in the short amount of time that Harper already has. And I think that Harper could definitely stop her. How do you have the Boots versus Teo? I have it 60-40. We can't look past, 60-40. Boots Teo. Would you rather watch a tree grow or a Negro? Oh, money's the racist is back. Yeah, you guys race baiting in the live stream. That's horrible, man. We're not playing those games. I see Boots beating Teo. Like, come on. I could see why that's getting promoted right now. I don't understand. Look, I don't understand the games that Tim Bradley picked. I understand the games Timothy Bradley plays, but when he does these press conferences and does an Instagram live talking about that Jerron Boots Ennis better stay away from Teofimo Lopez, you're out of your mind. Jerron Boots Ennis, you got to realize, Teo's small structurally. They might both weigh the same on fight night. Teo's not only smaller, but he's never fought an athlete like Jerron Ennis. Granted, Teo's athletic too, but Jerron does a lot of things in the ring that I think Teo wouldn't be able to match. Power is one of them. Length is one of them. Movement, angles is one of them. I'm a fan of both guys. I think it wouldn't be a tough fight. I think Boots walks Teofimo Lopez, to be honest. I'm big on Jerron Ennis. Everything he does, how he fights, and you got to look. Jerron fights up to his opponents. We see like a lot of you guys were picking when we predicted his last fight. A lot of you guys were predicting Stanionis to win. I was like, what? I wasn't seeing it. There were people who were taking Stanionis to win. I was like, Boots isn't only going to win. He's going to finish him. He's going to stop him. And those receipts are on my channel. Just go to my predictions and see how I broke that fight down. Everything that I said that Boots did to Stanionis, I think he would do to Teo. Even though they're different fighters, Teo's more twitchy, faster, slicker in there. And even though Teo beat Barbosa the way he didn't stop Barbosa. And that's another thing. Power is the greatest equalizer. And on 147, we're going to see Boots fight at 54 one day. Teo started way, below that, and we've never seen him at 47. And I don't really like predicting fights before they get signed, but you asked me about it. Luka Planic versus Acosta, who you got odds are a bit sketchy. I don't have that fight right now. Easy money to be made on women's basketball, too. Boots whips Teo all day. 75-20. Yeah, I could see that. 75-25. Boots. Teofimo is no... Ricardo, Teo is no joke. Great athlete. One of the best in the world right now. I would think... And you know what? My hat goes off to Teo because the one thing he's a dog. He wants to fight the best in the world. And you could, however you want to judge him outside the ring, I've been guilty of that as well. He wants to fight he dodges no smoke. And would I tune in? I'd love to see. I think it would be great for American boxing to see those two fight. And I could see why Teo wants that fight, because Duran isn't the most defensively sound guy. There are holes in the game. He's not a finished product, though. He's not. These guys, they're both young. I think Ennis just turned 28. Maybe Teo, 26, 27. Don't quote me on that. They're not finished products, either one of them. And I could see why Teo would want that fight. But my money, I'd go all in on Boots Ennis. Teo's the best Boots ever faced. That's the wild card. Teo arguably done more in boxing. Yeah, Armand, look at Teo's resume, for sure. Mark Vasquez, 100. I'd bet Boots myself, but Sweaty. Yep. Teo got dropped by Cambosis. Yeah, and that's why boxing, guys, it's tough for us to do boxing maths. You know what I mean? But, like, when Boots fought Chukic in the second time, Karen had his moments. When Boots fought the kid who beat Joshua Kelly. My name's slipping right now. Another Russian guy. Damn it. Boots didn't look that great. So I think Boots is the type of fighter who steps up to his opponent's level, and he looks great against certain styles. And I think the stylistic matchup of Teo versus Boots, that's why we want to watch it. I just think he'd be too big, man. There's weight classes for a reason. Boots cuts a lot of weight to get to 47, and he's long. He has a really long frame, and he knows how to fight at range, and he knows how to fight in the pocket. And the thing I don't think Boots gets enough credit for is he's a dog. He's a gunslinger. That dude, he gets hit a lot. My biggest beef on Boots is that he takes too many shots, that he's too good. He takes shots that because of his skill set he shouldn't be taking. And if that's my biggest beef on a guy, you're doing something special. And it's just when the firefight starts, Ennis wants to be there. Both guys want to be there. It would just come down to that dog. You know what I'm saying? And we haven't really seen Boots tested in dark, deep waters yet either. So that'd be something interesting to look into. Goats running 2 miles. I like that. Get your money in. David Evaneshan, VA Money Group. Thank you for helping me out. Evaneshan, when he beat Kelly. And Evaneshan's a tough guy. We as Americans, and I think as fight fans, boxing fans, I think as a community, people are getting better to understand this. But we see guys who have blemishes on their records, and they just automatically get thrown to the side. David Evaneshan is a good boxer, and he had his moments. He got stopped, but he had his moments. Top 5 Mexican American boxers of all time. What a list. Canelo Stan here, hey. Mexican, De La Hoya, Fernando Vargas, Bam, Mikey, Dave. I love Bam. Bam's on my top pound for pound list at the moment. Love Bam Rodriguez. I want to see, in a perfect world, guys, Bam go up to 18 and fight Junto. These are separate fights. Junto go up to 22 to fight Naoya Inoue. Inoue to go up to 26, and there's so many guys at 26. I mean, how good did Rafa look, dude? How good did who are we talking about? Yeah. So I love Bam. He's one of my favorite fighters. But, Mexican Americans, the list could be pretty long. There's a lot of great Mexican American fighters. Look what Boots to Davia wrote. Yeah, that was a gorgeous knockout. Right now, like, highlight reel viral knockout. It was beautiful, and how he moved in that fight. And Villa was no pushover at the time. Dante Wilder has a comeback fight, too. I saw that fight in Hernian. Do you think he's finished? Pedro Tatarón Shigoka. We talked about that, lovely Panda, and I'm looking at the odds, and I wish I had time to do a breakdown of Tatarón Shigoka. That's on the card of Angela Leo Kameda this weekend in Japan, and those odds are tight. I'm leaning a little bit towards Tatarón, and I wish I had the time to tell you why, but the odds are almost 50-50. Lovely Panda, who do you like in that, Tatarón or Shigoka? Bobby Chacon was a beast. People sleep on Chacon. Yes. If you do your research and look at the Mexican Americans, because sometimes they get, paired up and just forgotten about when people make the list of the greatest Mexican fighters. But there's a lot, dude. Without Mexican American boxing isn't as heralded as it is. And same with all the other ethnicities. American boxing is, in my opinion, my biased opinion, what it is because of how many people from all over the world live in America, how diverse we are as Americans, and how much we love fighting. Yeah, I love, but it's different throughout the world. Like, it's why I love British boxing. I love watching the UK cards because you don't see a lot of perfect records in the UK, but these guys have it in their DNA. These guys would be fighting behind a football stadium with nobody watching. It's in their culture. Watch a movie called. It was a soccer movie called Green Street Hooligans. It's a soccer movie, but Green Street Hooligans tells a story of the tradition of the soccer clubs, but bare knuckle fighting. And so, like, fighting everywhere is, it's kind of like Dana White had a quote: "There's only two things that humans have ever done since we evolved, and will always do: fighting and fucking." And so, yeah, that's why boxing's a Carbajal beast. You're correct, Canelo Stan. Pure Mexican. We got Julio Canelo. Salvador Sanchez is my favorite. Died too young, but man, what a great story. Sad story. Juan Manuel Marquez, Animal, Barrera. Got to throw Barrera Morales in there, right? They have to be somewhere in there. Michael Carbajal was a great. Johnny, what made you move to Australia? What's up, Wilmer? What's up, Go? I came to Australia in 2013, guys. I just finished grad school. I was living in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was bartending at a nightclub on the Las Vegas Strip in Planet Hollywood. And I met a girl who was a flight attendant from Australia, and she just offered me a flight, like a 2-week holiday to Sydney. And I came down to Sydney to stay with her for 2 weeks, went back to America, applied for my visa, and moved 3 months later. Been here ever since. Not with that girl, though, but we're still friends. Carlos Zarate over Marquez. Great fight. See, there's so many, man. If you look at, there should be sites, like dedicated just to these stats. When you start really breaking down the statistics of these fighters, there's things that you can't wait. Oh, Paez too. Yep. Who's the kid who was he was 51-0. No, nobody ever talks about him. 51-0. I think he's still alive. I think he fought at like 112 pounds. Let me pull it up. Ricardo El Finito. Oh, you guys beat me. You guys are quicker than me. Yeah, we forget about Finito, dude. This is the guy that's he's battled. He beat cancer. People forget about him. Like, research this guy. So I started a boxing YouTube a couple years ago, and it got taken down because I didn't know the copyright rules. And at the time, I was doing documentaries, like real life. So I did a documentary in Myanmar. It's on my YouTube. It's on this channel. And so during that time, I was doing documentaries on boxers, and I did one on El Finito Lopez. And I was shocked that I didn't know who he was, and I was shocked that the boxing community didn't know who he was. 51-0 with one draw. Like, he never gets mentioned. Do you feel that Sean Porter and most commentators retired boxers have been D-Rod and Crawford in their predictions against Canelo? Sean Porter, man, a lot of these, I don't want to badmouth anyone. Do I miss your picture of Bibiana Perez? No, I didn't give you yet. Tomorrow, hey there. Do you feel Porter commentary? I think Porter is definitely biased. People forget about Ricardo because he didn't fight the best competition. I know his record, though, and I'm not even a Canelo stan. I'm unbiased. Hey, do you feel that Porter, most commentators retired boxers? I don't know if people... Canelo, if we agree with that statement about Porter or most commentators, D-Rod and Crawford, it's kind of like there has to be Crawford fans out there. I'm a big Terrence Crawford fan. I think that in order for somebody to make a prediction, though, about Crawford versus Canelo, you can't make your prediction based off of being a fan. So I think what gets lost in these commentators is their fans and their friends. Porter's shared the ring. Sean shared the ring with Bud. They're friends. They have that personal connection. And so when we think about those relationships and listen to guys, experts with their predictions, I think you should just take it in one ear and out the other. And it's kind of the point of my channel is I do my best to do the best research, to do an analysis for you guys and give you a prediction based on an unbiased fan perspective. And like that fight coming up, I think about it all the time because I think the Canelo Crawford fight's always in my head. Just as the Crawford EJ fight when they fought in July 2023. Errol Spence was my favorite fighter. And when I did that breakdown, just because EJ was my favorite fighter, and I was looking at EJ, what he's been through, so many fans wanted to have amnesia and act like that he wasn't going to carry that trauma from his past fights, his style, and obviously the car crash. I picked Bud to beat EJ, even though I was a EJ fan. So that's what I tried to do. So even though I'm a Canelo fan, I'm a boxing fan first, I'm a Bud fan, it's hard for anybody to do a educated prediction without mentioning all of the variables stacked against Bud. The only thing I should mention, though, is what do we always say about boxing? You're only as good as your last fight. What have you done for me lately? Was Canelo sort of, no one's talking about this, was Canelo kind of showing the world less on purpose against Skull? People were like, he wasn't. People are like, oh, he looked bad against Skull. He didn't do anything. Skull ran the whole time. But I mean, how much of that is Canelo just not really wanting to put it on gear 10 when he could win a fight on gear 6 and then save himself for September? I'm not saying that happened, but at this stage of the career, both guys, you got to make business-oriented decisions. Even in the ring, there's decisions to be made. So who knows? I'll let you know my prediction the closer we get to September. I don't think Spence is coming back. I don't think he is either, guys. Johnny, who's your favorite fighter ever outside your boy Kelly Pavlik? I know he's my favorite fighter ever. So I flow back and forth. I get people talk shit about it because I have to go old school. Check out Homicide Hank, Henry Armstrong. So when I was doing those documentaries on boxers, Henry Armstrong is a golden age boxer. Look at his record. Look who he fought. Look what he did at weight classes. And his nickname was Homicide Hank. So if I had a t-shirt company, I would make a Homicide Hank t-shirt. He would be my GOAT, but then in the era after Henry Armstrong, I'd have to go like Sugar Ray Robinson after Henry Armstrong, and then after Sugar Ray Robinson in that next era, I really love Boom Boom Man. I like watching Ray Mancini. I like watching Roberto Duran is one of my favorite fighters. Dude, Roberto Duran. I mean, granted, you know, we could do Monday Morning Quarterback. When people ask me my favorite fighter, I like to think about what they were when they were at their best. When you see what Duran did at his best and what he meant to boxing. I mean, I was a big, maybe it's because of my era, Hector Camacho fan. I'm a big Chico Corrales fan. Diego Corrales to this day. You know, if I had a t-shirt company, I'd have a Chico shirt on right now. I love Chico Corrales. Arturo Gatti. I like guys who were fighters. I like guys who would go in there and fight you. And that's the boxing spirit. And so, but, you know, Pernell Whitaker, the opposite of that, you know, defensive wizard, a savant, how Pernell could beat you without throwing punches, how Pernell would be able to negate a power puncher with his movement and his ability to understand distance, timing, and range. His timing. So Sweet Pea is one of my favorites. So there's so many, man. Boxing's filled with them. I don't just have one. Canelo gonna win. Who's your favorite boxing YouTube channel? I like Showbiz. Yeah, people always say, drop his name on me. I don't watch boxing YouTube. You know, if I'm watching YouTube, I'm watching fight films. So I'm watching old fights on YouTube. I don't watch boxing content creators. I watch a lot of true crime. I always tell, if I'm on YouTube watching content, I'm watching like C-level, like true crime, like murder stuff. So it's a bit weird. It allows me to kind of like clock out, I guess. Best round ever. Yes, Castillo versus Chico Corrales, their first fight, round 10. Mate, I still think the ref kind of like, even though Chico got the dub, he gives Chico like 2 counts, 2 long counts, spits the mouthpiece off, deducts the point, and then Castillo is in trouble on the ropes in a fight that he was up, and they stop the fight. So it's like, that always is kind of like, because Luis Castillo is one of my favorites too. That was that era of boxing, mate. Jesus Christ, like the Floyd era. Showbiz isn't boxing; he's a plant. Yeah, I don't really. You guys have talked to me about Showbiz before. I've peeked into his channel. I don't. He makes faces at you. He's a clown. Like, does he fight? Has he ever? And I don't mean to be judgmental. You don't have to fight to like boxing. But I think to comment and predict and call other fighters bums, and if you don't train, if you don't live like a fighter, I don't think you have any space to call any person who puts their life on the line in the ring a bum. So I heard him call a couple fighters bums, and I think I'm not a fan of guys like that, to be honest with you. I don't hate, like, in my personal life, I don't kick it with haters. I don't hang out with a lot of people. I don't have a lot of time to, you know, it's just a frequency I don't like beating on. So I don't mess with the dude. Hey, OJ versus Charles Manson and Bugs. Dude, OJ's a stud athlete. Come on, dude. Arenthal James Simpson. People forget about his college career at USC. People forget what he did for Buffalo in the league. OJ Simpson, look at his stats in the league. Only played a handful of years. Look what, dude, that dude, high-level athlete. Come on. Charles Manson was a little tiny sort of hippie druggie that OJ would, yeah, murder crime. One was psychological, though. So if you're looking at strengths versus weaknesses, OJ was a physical guy. Charles Manson was psychology. He used a lot of brainwashing, committing crimes without laying a finger. So there's power to that. Canelo, you got me started, man. Ward versus Gotti was a brawl. First one, 100% weak. Stepped in, the fight is over. Yeah, yep. Just stepping in that ring is the bravest thing, 100%. 2,000 yards in 12 games. Mark knows what time it is. OJ was innocent. Made so many documentaries about that. My whole thing about OJ was the book he wrote, because this is my generation. When I was in 8th grade, I went to a Catholic school in Youngstown, Ohio. They had our whole school in the gym playing the verdict to see if he was guilty or not. I remember people cheering. My whole thing about OJ, he wrote a book, If I Would Have Done It. Like, Google that. He wrote a book after he was innocent, If I Did It. Like, come on, man. He's hilarious. Calling OJ by Nathaniel James. Yeah, dude. I'm a sports nerd, man. Like from the time something I don't ever talk about it except on these lives. From the time I was 7 until I was 18, year round, I played football, baseball, basketball, and box. My parents made me stop boxing at 15, but I continued to play baseball, football, and basketball, and played baseball in college. But yeah, I'm a nerd, sport nerd. These are my people. OJ didn't do it. Do your research. Don't squeeze the juice, man. And then look at OJ. Look at the stories about OJ and like when he lived in Southern California. This dude won a Heisman at USC, a private school in Southern California that is all white. This guy was like welcomed in. He would like to this day. There's these racist ass golf courses in Southern California that he was on record being one of the only non-whites to ever be able to golf there. And so he was beloved. And then it was interesting to see, if you do the research, about one of the philosophies that Johnny Cochran instilled, which helped OJ's defense, was that one of the things that OJ did was bring Johnny Cochran on as a civil rights attorney to defend, to help get the support of the African American community at the time. Because at the time before the crime, OJ was like, you guys know the story. I'm not educating you guys at anything. You guys know about this. I think it was more about his defense team, how intelligent Cochran was. And he had a whole slew of these guys who were able to just poke holes in the crime itself. And I guess that is the flaw in our legal system. Did he do it? He wrote a book, If I Did. So I don't know, man. I was a fan of him as a football player and as an actor. The Naked Gun films are hilarious. His wife was hanging out with a bro, VA Money Group. You're talking about it was either the Casanova killer or the dude from Michigan. Yeah, I don't know if she was hanging out, but there was a serial killer who confessed to this crime at the same time, who ended up, I think it was the Casanova killer, or it was either Casanova killer or the same person that killed the girl that Ashton Kutcher was supposed to go on a date with in Hollywood. That same era. I think he came from Michigan. I'm not black. I'm OJ. How's the Mexican food in Australia? Canelo. Awful, mate. So I have to, I lived in Long Beach, like I said. I worked at a Latin nightclub for years called La Palapa. So I have all the recipes to do my homemade ceviche. I do my homemade guac, which is easy, but the Mexican food here is terrible. If you guys are restaurateurs or chefs, there is a market in Sydney for real authentic Mexican food, because down here it's terrible. Oh, that's right, Casanova. Yeah, there you go. See, nerd. If you've never seen The People vs. OJ, watch it. I've seen it. Yep. The People vs. OJ is good, and the one Netflix. How about Netflix keep drip feeding and making? How about all these people no one talks about? These producers, directors, production companies keep making money off the crime too. All we hear about is like, the crime itself. But every 5 years there's a new Netflix documentary with new evidence. Did you guys watch the new one? I had never seen the footage of when during the car chase on the highway. We've seen the car chase before, but those phone calls. I didn't know there were phone calls within the Bronco with his boy. His name's slipping my mind. And the lead detective trying to get them to pull over. And then the deal that they made when they got to, I think it was Brentwood, when they finally got back to Brentwood. And so there's even footage in sort of content of the story that they still haven't released, which is insane. How about a taqueria? Oh, traditional taqueria. One of my favorite places in the world, Wilmer, when I was living in Long Beach, we would fly down to, this would have been in 2008, we would fly down to Cabo San Lucas. And right when you get to Cabo San Lucas, you have that pier with all the high-end hotels and stuff. But we would stay in the little neighborhood with the cobblestone brick road, and there's that casino there. And at the time, there'd be jewelry shops with these armed guards. And my favorite thing about that is at 5 a.m, the old women of the village would wake up and spray the brick road, and you'd have the taqueria little truck there with a kid who'd be like 15 selling the tacos in it. They'd have, what else would they have? They'd have, Yeah, so Mexico, one of my favorite places in the world is coastal Baja California. Jesus, like to this day, the food, the people, the weather, everything about it. Wolves versus Knicks finals. That it's interesting, man. We were talking about this on the stream. When you got a guy, the Wolves versus Knicks. So you guys are picking the Knicks to beat the Pacers. I'm a Cleveland fan, so I just watched the Pacers destroy my soft ass Cleveland team. Talk about a soft team with no backbone. Talk about a team that needed like a Draymond Green. Cleveland, soft ass big men. Casanovas came to his trial with OJ's wife's necklace. I did not know that. Do you watch MM? I don't know what that means. I'm old, so I don't know these acronyms. Mom, Casanova's mom. I did not know that. Do you watch UFC? Yeah, trading. I've written books on the UFC. My first book that you could buy in stores has Hoist Gracie in it. I've been watching the very first UFC event, November 11th, 1993, the event that Hoist Gracie won in Denver, Colorado. I watch every fight in the UFC. It's just that, and I used to interview these guys. I had a podcast called Ungoogleable. So if you Google Ungoogleable, you'll find a book that I wrote, and you'll find this podcast. I've interviewed Stipe Miocic, Dan Severn, Hoist Gracie, Carlos Condit, Matt Brown, all these guys, Chris Weidman, Siva Wonderboy Thompson. It's just that the reach that those, at the time with what Dana White did to MMA journalism about 7 years ago, he monopolized the game. So even if I wanted to go, I'd go to the fights. If I wasn't UFC approved at the time as like a independent journalist, you wouldn't get any love. So I was like, I still watch the fights. I just don't report on them. Is the Spanish community big in Sydney? No. Rafael Luna. No, it's growing, though. It's getting more diverse. It's more diverse now in 2025 than it was in 20. Damn, I've been here since 2013. That's insane. So 12 years. It's more diverse now. Y'all were injured, though, Johnny. If y'all were healthy, I know. We weren't healthy. I get it. I'm just, being a Cleveland sports fan my whole life, it's just tough to be positive, man, especially when you had the number one seed in the East, when you have, 3 All-Stars, Garland at his best, D. Mitch, especially how Mitch plays, man. He's so hard not to like. It's just that when you watch Jared Allen and Mobley kind of disappear in the same game, and you neither one of those guys are, even though Mobley was Defensive Player of the Year, he's still really not a feature guy. They are still young. They need guys around them they're kind of rhythm momentum guys. Indiana, they're bigs, man. Pascal Siakam, dude, torched us. And then in game 5, Halliburton, he was shooting full court shots. I think he hit 9-11 from threes. So they weren't missing. If that Indy team shows up against New York, which the game starts here shortly, I think they beat New York. If the team that played Cleveland shows up in New York, I just think they're deeper. I had no idea Indy was that deep, and I had no idea they played defense either. All of a sudden, we're turning into an NBA show. Here we go. Did you like the Indians name? No, I'm a baseball player through and through. I got 2 Cleveland hats. You guys had to understand the Cleveland Indians were named after a player on the team in the early 1900s, Napoleon Lajoie, and like it was crazy when the name got changed. The Native American community in Northeast Ohio, where I come from, were like, we didn't ask for this. White women, no offense to anybody out there, but white women in their homes, in their nice houses, asked to get this. It was all part of the cancel culture and the woke agenda, changing the name. But, the Native American community liked Chief Wahoo on the hat. It was an homage to where the team had come from. So, I mean, the Cleveland Guardians, that's the first time I've ever said Guardians. I still call them the Cleveland Indians. Do you like the Indians? That is Tyrese hit to it. Yep, that was that 3. That broke our back. We were up by 21. Pacers one time, Napa or nothing, beat them last year. James Arath, I know you're an Indy fan. Like I said, James, if that same Indy team plays against the Knicks, and the Knicks have killers, man. When you got, they have some guys playing really well right now, but Indy, if that team plays New York, I just think Indy's too deep for them. We'll see. They need to change it back along with the Redskins. Yeah, we'll see, man. A lot of that stuff is wild, and to think, though, that the Redskins were a victim of it, the Indians were a victim of it, but then the Kansas City Chiefs weren't, the Atlanta Braves weren't. The list goes on. I'm glad they didn't change the Seminoles either. I'm glad Florida State pushed back and kept the Seminoles. That is a Native American tribe indigenous to, I think it's Tallahassee, where Florida State is. So, like, that's one victory for the anti-woke. Colts owner Jim Irsay passed. Rest in peace, R.I.P. My boy from high school played for the Colts in the early 2000s. He was a defensive back named Anthony Floyd, who went to University of Louisville. So I slightly cheered for the Colts. It's all BS, Mark Vasquez. It is, man. Keep sports, right? Why do we have to politicize everything? All right, guys. So it's 9:50. I got to get that. I got to get that uploaded. I got to get my Josh Taylor and Esimon fight uploaded. And like I said, back to business. There's a fight card from Hollywood tomorrow, from LA tomorrow on DAZN. You'll only recognize there's no superstars, but there's 5 fights. If you add in the 5 sort of feeder fighters who are supposed to win, it's 153. It's a plus 53. I'm going to put that up in a separate parlay. If you're a boxing junkie and you want action, there's action there. There's fights tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then next Wednesday here, which is your Tuesday, we got Sugar Nunes in a hell of a fight. So there's a lot of fights, man. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't already liked this video, guys, I appreciate it. And if you didn't catch this live, it'll be up on my playlist section. Let's go, Indy.